Hello, everybody. This is Jan Moray with this week's edition of Greet the Week. And I also have with me my co-host, Mona Duncan.
Hello.
Hello, Mona. Thank you for being here. Thank you for partnering with me, and I'm enjoying doing this together with you.
Yeah, me too.
And today our topic is drama, the drama in our lives, and it's all around us. I started off, drama is great for the movies and TV, but not for a happy life.
Right. The residents at where I work, I tell them, keep your drama for your mama.
Yeah, that's right. That is absolutely right. And so whenever you see drama happening, if you could just kind of step back and try to get out of it and look at where the external control is coming from, because that's usually what drama is all about, is trying to get somebody to do something that you want. If you really think about it, because if life is going well and we're negotiating and we have good relationships and stuff, things tend to go a whole lot more smoothly. But it's when we get to the point when something isn't quite working for us and we're trying to make somebody change, then we throw in all the drama, and it looks great looking from the outside, but when you're involved in it, it's not pleasant. It's not fun.
Right. It just keeps spiraling. It kind of draws in a vortex, and but instead of going up and out, it just kind of goes down and down. Right.
And it ruins relationships. It especially when it's the same thing over and over, and the same behaviors, and you really don't know how to handle it and how to deal with it. It's tiring. It's exhausting to have.
So what are you thinking? How do we handle things like that?
Well, first thing, I'd like to step back to the beginning. So let's keep this stuff from happening, because so often we wait for stuff to escalate before we do anything about it, because we're saying, oh, it's no big deal, everything's gonna be fine. But then after a while, it's not fine anymore. You can't handle it. You're tired of it. You're frustrated. You're angry. And I think about with our children, and with the children is the best way, or maybe an easy way to start, because you look at those kids that act out. What are they looking for? Why are they acting out?
Well, more than likely, they're wanting to be like the parent and have the say-so.
Right. Yeah.
And if they don't have the say-so, if your say-so doesn't match my say-so, then there becomes that conflict.
Correct. Yeah.
Of trying to help you to see it, or make you see it from my point of view as to why it should be this way as opposed to that way.
Right. Yeah. And so again, it's that external control that's getting involved. So I'm trying to get you to see things my way. But so that's one part of it. But another thing is that maybe they just don't get attention when they do what you want them to do. I mean, how many times do we actually praise our children for doing what we asked, or sitting quietly, or going and doing their homework right away, or something like that? It seems like we don't say anything until they don't do something that we ask them to do.
So negative attention is better than no attention?
Absolutely. Right.
So if we turned around and began to commend what is commendable, and just at least make a comment about it, or thank you, or
right.
Hey, I really noticed how you shared with your sister, or whatever.
Yeah.
That might calm down the picking on one another.
Yeah. And you said thank you, and that thank you is a small little phrase we just don't use enough. And I remember long time, this is at least 40 years ago. Well, maybe not 40, maybe 30 years ago. I was working, and we were in some kind of a workshop of trying to improve morale. And the lab director, who's the highest guy in the organization in town, happened to be in our session. And he was a dictator, a tyrant. And we got into the thing about saying thank you. And I spoke up, and I was a real young employee, one of the few people who was willing to speak up. Everybody else just kind of said, yes, sir, yes, sir. And I said, but it doesn't take any time to say thank you. It just takes a couple seconds. And he turned to me and he said, Jan, you're a bright girl. He had called me girl back then. You're a bright girl. You know when you've done a good job. And I said, yes, I most of the times I do, but it doesn't hurt for someone, if you notice something, to acknowledge it.
Exactly. And it does take real maturity in the person, in you, the young girl.
Yeah.
It takes a real maturity to bask in and appreciate your own accomplishment, whether anyone else notices or not.
Right.
And, someone that is wounded because of not being noticed and appreciated, that just seems like an impossible task, an impossible thing to go to.
Mm-hmm. Well, you go to it for a while, and then you say, but nobody else is noticing. So maybe I'm not doing a good job. And then you can start to question whether you are or not. And so
because
that attention.
The non-good job is always pointed out.
Right. Yes, correct.
Yeah. That whatever is not as acceptable is easy to point out.
Yeah.
And so it starts with each one of us. Oh, man, if I could just start with you. Because, you're just right here in the open, and I can see you, my child, but I can't really see me.
Yeah.
And so therefore, wanting to fix things, I have it really difficult to see that it starts with me.
Yeah, it does. It always starts with you.
And sometimes it starts with
I see that we have a guest, and I don't normally acknowledge guests. If you wish to engage in the conversation, feel free. Or there's also a chat box that you can write questions in the chat box. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that in. And so yeah, we have to start noticing what's going well, and so that
just
don't go to the drama and the escalation, because a lot of times if you just acknowledge the good things that somebody's doing, that they don't have that need to do all the destructive things, because a lot of times that drama, it is a play for attention. You're not noticing me, you're not paying attention to me, and so this is what I want, and then things become more important to you because they're not.
Right. I taught at a school. Well, it was a teachers' meeting, and was teaching, a little bit about reality therapy and working with your students and so forth. And so they kept, the teachers kept giving out some scenarios, and I said, well, let's just act this out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
that's a good one.
Act it out.
Yeah.
And so, sure enough, one of the students was acting out and just needing to get attention in the schoolroom. And so I was playing the teacher, and I asked him to come over and speak with me. And so we just went over. We didn't go outside the room. We just went over to the side, and I was speaking loudly so everyone could hear me. But we were speaking, privately. I said it would be more. And I told him, I said, I've really been noticing you, and that you're just right in there with the answers, and that you have some really good suggestions and so forth. I said, you know what? I see leadership qualities in you.
Okay.
And I was wondering if maybe I could get you to help me, work with some of those other students there. And I think sometimes that you get some of these concepts quicker than they do. Do you think maybe you could help me maybe co-teach them, or instead of, telling them that they're dumb, they're really trying hard. Do you think you could maybe just enlighten them and be their friend? And I mean, it was just amazing, the calm that came over those teachers.
Yeah.
Because I never thought about that. Because that bully, that disruptor is just needing attention.
He does, absolutely.
And let's give him positive attention.
Yeah. And that's I need a favor from you. I need you to help me. And that's so much more powerful than we realize.
Well, yeah, old Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People, is to ask them to help you.
Ask them to help me.
Ask them to help you. Because we all have this need to be needed, to fit in, to be a part of, to be appreciated.
Right.
And so, in the grocery stores, and I see little kids that, they're so antsy and all this, and it's just, I say, hey, you helping mom shop? I just feel compelled to say something.
Yeah.
And then I'll even ask mom, I said, Mom, are you having a hard day? I said, I bet you got a good shopper here if you give them a couple of things to look for.
Okay, so you've actually told women that?
Oh, yeah, I do that all the time. Okay. All the time. I'm to the age now that I'm the world's mom or grandma. But the thing of it is, I did that even when I was much younger. Just that need to reach out and help. And to.
So what kind of responses have you received when you?
I have got super positive responses.
Okay.
Because I acknowledge both. I acknowledge the mom, and I've been there, maybe not there, but in a similar situation. And
because it is true that when you are having the bad day, you have less to give to your children, and they sense that.
Exactly.
And but they still want the attention, and so I think that you were pointing out that, the mother's maybe having a bad day, but she's got a great little helper with her, gives the child attention and acknowledges, what the mother is feeling.
Right. And I know one mom told me one day, she said, no, I can't let her do anything like that because she just grab all this stuff that I don't want. I said, well, the final decision is with you. But if you let her know just what you're looking for, I bet she could help spot it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they took me up on it or not, but it calmed down for the moment. It took the drama away.
Yeah. And you put an idea in her head, because some people don't really think that there's any alternative to what they've always been doing. And even though she's not receptive to it at the moment, it's an idea in her head, and she might start thinking about it, and maybe the next time she'll do something a little differently.
And when I was a new mom and reading all the books and, wanting to be a really good mom. Yeah. I never shall forget one day we were at a store and Melinda was in the cart and we was in the checkout line, okay? And she was reaching over here and getting that, and I would tell her no to, and take it away from her and put it back. And I took her little hands and I held them and I said, no, you may not have that. Don't even touch it. And I'm holding her hands. Can you see me? Yeah. I'm holding her hands. We're right there on the bar, and we're looking at each other eye to eye. And it's amazing how strong a 2-year-old can be, a 3-year-old.
Yeah.
And she's, I've got her hands in my hands, looking eye to eye at this, what are you going to do about it? And she pulled that little hand loose, and she reached over there to that gum or that candy, and she touched it, and I just kept looking at her, and she kept looking at me, and she pulled that little hand back.
You said, don't you even touch it.
I didn't say thank you, but you know what? The battle was over. Now, the thing of it is I've told that before in parenting classes, and they said, "Ooh, if she'd have touched that, I'd have beat her. I said, "What's that going to solve?"
Right.
It's going to solve that I'm the bully.
Right.
That I'm the bully. Right. Touching it is not the problem. Now, I had given this horrible ultimatum, don't even touch it.
Right. Right.
But touching it is not a big deal. And I considered it that we both won.
Mm-hmm.
And when you can help someone save face.
Right.
And save face yourself because you're developing a relationship, you've both won.
Right.
So let's work at it in everything that we can all win.
Yeah.
That we can all win.
Yeah.
Just one more illustration. I was teaching a class again back with the prisoners, and there was this one guy that was just so determined to dominate the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And he'd said several things, and anyway, so I gave him permission. I said, "Is it absolutely necessary that I know about this?" He said, "Yes, it is." I said, "Okay, I'll tell you what, I'll give you exactly 5 minutes to tell me your point." And then I looked at the rest of them. I said, take a break.
Okay.
And, you know, I mean, and so I looked at him. I said, okay, time starts now. Go.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think
sometimes
that's huge when you're validating him as a person, and that he does have an opinion, and even though it's different from yours.
And it may be very valid, and I'm willing to listen to it, but not at the expense of everyone else.
Right, right. Yeah.
Whenever you're in a group, you know, when it's for the whole family. So we got to look at what's for the good of the whole.
The good of the whole, exactly. Exactly.
And sometimes that means that it's not as much as I wanted for me.
Right. Well, a lot of times
for the good of the whole.
Right. And I think that's a concept. I've done a little bit of couples counseling, and that seems to be a concept that couples really struggle with, because they're only looking at what I want for me, instead of looking at, well, what's good for the whole. But we're going to talk about the marriage. The marriage is the entity, is the person we're trying to help get better. And so how is you just doing what's right for you going to help this relationship, going to keep this marriage strong?
Right.
Really, really struggle with that. It's like, I don't want to give up anything.
Yeah. And for the good of the whole, for the good of the whole family, for the good of the whole office, not just for
right. Yeah.
Not just for this. And you may have a better idea that we might could implement later or discuss later. And sometimes, you know, it's timing as much as anything.
Yeah.
And asking permission. You know, if you need to talk with someone, if there's something that needs to be corrected, broach it. That you know, I'm needing to speak with you about something that I've been noticing, and I want your input on it, or I want your feedback. You know, and so are you willing to, you know, could we set a time?
Yeah.
Don't interrupt their TV or their concentration.
Come talk right now. We can talk about this right now.
Right.
Yeah.
And again, that's going to what's good for the whole. That it is something to be settled and to look at, or to resolve. And you know how much I like words. Resolve means to loosen. Yeah. Let's just loosen this drama. Let's just loosen this conflict.
Loosen the drama. Let's figure out a way to loosen the drama.
Yeah.
And I don't know how it is with you, but now that I really practice choice theory in my life every day. I try real hard to do that. And then I watch TV shows or movies and stuff where there's all this drama going on, and I just can't stand it anymore. I'm just looking at it. They're just ruining what they have. And of course, you never do on TV. Everybody always ends up fine and coming together. But when you see that stuff in real life, it doesn't work out that way. And so people think that they can say that and they can do those kinds of things and get by with it. But in real life,
those wounds are real.
Yeah.
Those wounds are real.
Yeah.
And often then we become false because we just are putting on this face to make everything look good.
Right. We're really hurting, but it's not safe to talk about it. And we might get teased more, or people don't really understand what we're trying to say, or don't really want to hear what we have to say.
Right. And those hurts, yeah. And the thing of it is, in all those TV programs, you know, there's this side and that side, and they'll tell their story, and who is it that said, you know, for every story there's 3 or more sides?
Oh, yeah.
And there is, because there is just so much information that no matter how much we know about something, we cannot know everything that's going on.
Yeah.
There's just too many variables involved to see what is the spur that is bringing on this drama in any of the people.
And a lot of times too, the spur that's bringing on that drama may have nothing to do with the other person. It can be something that happened at the office or at school or whatever, and you just caught this person in a state where their emotional bank account is very spent. And so it's just one more thing that just triggers it, and you end up being the victim.
Yeah, yeah. And you may not even know what that one thing is.
No, and they may not know either.
Because those unresolved issues, well, our body holds those memories. And if it's tender, no matter what touches it, it's going to be tender.
Mm-hmm.
And so therefore it's going to, get some kind of a response from the physiology,
Yeah.
and also from the mental and the emotional.
Yeah.
And so we may be jousting at windmills and we don't even know what the windmills are.
Right. Right.
It just happened to be in front of me, and it could have happened years ago.
Yeah.
But then unresolved, and sometimes resolving is one-on-one talking with. But you know what? When we get into forgiveness and or into loosening things and solving things, the only person I have any control over is me.
It's me. That's right.
And so it goes back to that choice theory, that I have the choice to loosen this, or to, to hold the reins gently.
Yeah, we do have all kinds of choices in how we respond, and it's that pause. You pause and think before you say, think, and look to the other person as well, not just looking at your hurt and what's right for you, but what's right for the relationship. And am I going to hurt somebody else if I say what's right there on my mind?
Right. And so the next time you're with this person in this office group, in this whatever, you want to be able to be there with grace,
mm-hmm.
and not be ashamed to go back around them anymore.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing of it is often whenever we have something our way and we want others to agree with us, we will begin to collect those agreements to the harm of shunning those that don't agree.
Mm.
And the thing of it is that everyone has, well, they belong, they flavor the pot.
Yeah, they do. They do. No, that's a great way to put it, because just because somebody disagrees with you doesn't mean that they're worthless.
No.
They have good ideas too, and maybe looking at things a little differently you hadn't really thought of.
Yeah.
You hadn't really understood where they're coming from.
Yeah, and what their gifts and talents are that contributes to the family, to the relationship, to the world,
mm-hmm.
to the game, to the whatever,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it may be a little quirky, but then, you know what? Sometimes that quirky is the salvation.
Right.
It is.
Well, and I think about it too, the quirkiness or the things about loved ones that annoy you the most, once they're gone, those are the things that you really cherish, that you remember. I remember how Dad used to respond, whenever we started talking about this, or remember, how Uncle so-and-so, used to get so angry at this. And those are the things that you remember, and you cherish them.
It is, and it brings that commonality with you and the others that was equally irritated.
Uh-huh.
But whenever we get real honest with ourselves, deep down inside, we have that sting of I could have been a little bit more patient with.
Right. Yeah.
Because I could have chosen to, and it goes back to that you can choose. I think the thing that puts off so much, to me personally, to think, well, you could choose to do differently, is the fact that in that moment, I don't really want to choose to do differently.
Right. No, you don't.
Yeah. But whenever I do settle down and I realize that I didn't put forth my best, and I really, is that my goal in life? I got to get honest with myself. Is that my goal in life?
Mm-hmm.
Not to put on a face, not a false face. I want it to be just as true and genuine and, as can possibly be. But I want it to be one that is kind as opposed to harsh.
Right.
I want it to be one that is more understanding as opposed to instantly off-putting.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that there's not boundaries set. It doesn't mean that I can't remember where I give illustrations and where I don't. But I know one time I think, well, anyway, I don't think it was with you and I, that one time, well, my daughter, again,
Okay.
she had given me some little plaques, and I put them on the wall in the kitchen. And several years later, I was redoing the kitchen, and I had the things lined out on the table as to how I was going to arrange them on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, "Are you going to put those little plaques back up there?" And I said, "Yes, I certainly am." And she questioned why I was. And I said, "Because a really sweet little girl gave these to me." And my daughter, that, was a teenager at that time, she says, "Well, obviously she didn't have any taste."
Oh.
So I thought, well, okay, although I like them and I think they're cute, if she's okay with my getting rid of them, I'm going to just stick some, put some other things there. Well, I said that to say this. It was in the same time, I had some salt shakers, and she said, "If you want to get rid of something, get rid of those salt shakers. I don't like them." And I said,
So
"Well,
when she was able to say that something she gave you she didn't like anymore, it was safe then to say that something else she had she didn't like that you needed to
right. And I said, "Well, thank you very much. I appreciate your input, that I like these and I'm keeping them." So we can set our boundaries, and we can listen to someone's likes or dislikes,
Yeah.
and we can speak.
But I think it's important to make that environment safe.
Exactly.
So they feel like they can tell you what they like and what they don't like.
Exactly. And that input of liking or not liking is not the whole weight of the relationship.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. It's having a safe environment where we can have fun drama, where we can.
That's there to enjoy and not to hurt.
Right. Why do we laugh at those things why do we laugh at the Archie Bunkers of the world?
Yeah.
It's because we've been very irritated by that, and we understand the meathead's frustration. And maybe even the Archie Bunkers of the world would look at it and laugh, because they may or may not recognize themselves. That we find humor in our own foibles whenever we're not condemned for it.
Mm-hmm.
That is what sets us apart. That is what makes us different. And so as we can appreciate those foibles without, just having that safe environment.
Yeah.
Within limits and within boundaries.
And part of a safe environment is to be able to fail, have your foibles, and not be made to feel like you're incompetent or anything. Because sometimes some kids just have to figure it out on their own. They're not going to learn from anybody else's foibles. They're going to have to go through it themselves, and to make it safe for people to do that. That there's no judgment, but let's talk about it. Let's talk through it.
Yeah. Well, the drama. So, how can I be a player but not go with the drama?
Yeah. And I think what you brought up earlier is a lot of times when we start the drama, it's because we're just focusing on ourselves instead of looking at what, how is that going to hurt the other person, or how's it going to affect the relationship. And so to be able to think a little bit about the person you're having the conversation with and you're dealing with, and let me see how I can rephrase it, because it's still important to let somebody know when you don't like something, or you prefer that they do something else, or when you need something and you ask them to help you, but you don't need to hurt the person or shame them into it or chastise them.
Right.
You always have a choice in how you deal with them.
And because if we were seeing that being played off on this, if someone was catching us with their phone,
yeah,
how pleased would we be with our response?
Right.
not only then, if that was just highlighted, is there going to be a little bit of a shame? And it's something that we can be ashamed of, but not shamed by, as long as we don't continue in that destructive path.
Yeah.
So it's about.
I think it's past 1:30. So I think it was a good discussion. I enjoy talking about drama, and whether you're the one creating the drama or the drama is around you, you always have a choice in how you respond to it and how you deal with it. You don't have to just take it. And sometimes it's a lot more difficult than other times because it's pretty ingrained into the relationship. But it's never too late to start, to put in, just use those connecting habits. You're trying to, let me understand where you're coming from. I'm going to respect your view, and let's negotiate what's going on and figure out how we can move forward. And then let's spend some time looking for the good behavior. Let's make sure that we acknowledge good behavior and recognize it and thank people for it.
And kind of loosen it all up.
Loosen it all up. All right. So thanks everybody for joining us. And for those of us, thank you. And for those of you watching the replay, if you have any comments, please feel free to let us know. And we'll see you next Monday for another edition of Greet the Week. Bye-bye.